Hello and welcome to Wildcat Wizards. I'm Brian,
I'm Travis.
And I'm Robert.
and on this show,
So this is going to be essentially... Let me put on my headphones here so I look professional. This is going to be essentially JWoo's Nerd Podcast. I know there was one years ago, so we're kind of taking over that role. So every month, or every week I should say, we'll be here every month too, we're going to talk about different subjects of like nerd culture, what's going on, so movies, TV shows, D&D, if there's a convention in town, we'll cover that, and so on and so forth, until we just don't do it anymore, until we don't feel like it, or somebody's too busy, or we have better things to do, or we get real lives.
I know you're talking about better things to do. Have you met us?
That's a fair statement. Can't argue with that logic. So this week, as a pilot episode, we're going to do... we're just going to discuss our favorite TV shows of 2017, like in the nerd vein of TV shows. So anything, Rick and Morty, Game of Thrones, our favorites, what we like, what we don't like, what we think's going to happen. So I know the Rick and Morty fans over there are excited to talk about.
Yeah, I'm looking at Rob over here. He looks pretty excited. What do you think, Rob?
I mean, I'm a big fan of Rick and Morty. Wasn't really into it when it first started, but like after a while, I just binge watched the whole thing. Just fell in love with it.
All right, that was a good conversation. All right, thank you for tuning in to JWoo Live.
That's it. That's a wrap.
All right, but no,
Rob just got off Tinder, so he's still kind of getting back into the...
I swear to God.
No, I think the third season of Rick and Morty was definitely one of my favorites. It was different, and you could definitely tell it because of, for one, they got a different staff of writers, but it just felt more like a series kind of show rather than like a one-off type of thing. Like it felt more connected, and it built on more of the characters.
I don't know. I think like the first season was really great. Kind of like introduced like the main themes. Like it did seem goofy, but if you look past that, there's like big themes of like existentialism and whatnot, what I was really into.
So it gets really like deep and story driven, and
Yep.
not what usually like I think of when I think of Rick and Morty. Usually I think of people just like screaming memes and running around talking about like McDonald's Szechuan sauce.
Yeah, I don't think that we were able to. I didn't think that we were going to be able to make it through this without talking about the Szechuan sauce.
We're not. Like, as somebody who doesn't watch Rick and Morty, you're not making it through without discussing Szechuan sauce for at least like 2 minutes. Like, I'm still blown away by this.
Yeah, but there's a McDonald's about 2 miles north from JWoo, and they're the only one participating in Rhode Island. And one of my friends, Rob knows him. He's like, hey, we should go check out that McDonald's. Get in line. And like we were like, oh yeah, that'd be a great plan. Let's plan for this Saturday. It's gonna be great. And it ended up not happening. And then we saw on social media that they only sent 5 packets to a lot of places. And we were like, yeah, we're kind of glad that we didn't wait in line for hours on end.
It seems like it just, everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. And for those who don't know what happened, because this is, I think, if like you're in this stuff, you know what happened, but a lot of people don't. Rick and Morty over the summer to promote season 3 had this whole thing about the Szechuan sauce that McDonald's released upon Disney's Mulan release in 1999, was it? And the Szechuan sauce McDonald's released it in 1999, didn't release it since, and they brought it back for one day, just to at the end of Rick and Morty season 3 to kind of celebrate, the fans being into it, and kind of as a running joke, a PR stunt, and they just did not bring nearly enough.
Yeah, social media was kind of flooded with like angry fans because of like there were people that drove a long time and waited a long time, and then they got there, it's like, oh hey, joke's on you, we got 5 packets.
People were like breaking stuff, and then people were like selling them.
It was a little bit extreme.
There was something I saw where people were selling like cars. People were selling like paying thousands of dollars for one pack of Szechuan sauce.
Yeah, there was that tweet that went viral of there was a girl who traded 1 pack of sauce for a used car.
It was like a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
Volkswagen.
I thought that was pretty funny.
I mean, like, I'm into Rick and Morty, but like going to that extreme of like, hey, I got this, now give me everything you own. I don't go that far.
I mean, like, good on her, because like that's some good trading on her part.
Yeah, somebody somebody was very happy at the end of that.
But no, I thought it was a little bit extreme, and I was like, oh, that would be a cool thing to go do. Just go hang out for like an hour in line or something. It's probably not going to be that long. And then afterwards, saw the chaos. I was like, I'm glad that I didn't.
And you see all the people freaking out on YouTube.
Oh my gosh, yeah, some of those videos I could not finish of people like screaming and freaking out and like purposely, like, as somebody who like lived at a McDonald's for a long time in high school, because it was right next to my high school and I went to McDonald's all the time, like those guys, those employees at McDonald's, they deal with a lot of crap all the time. I would not, you could not have paid me to work
I
that
felt
day.
really bad for like the people working there, because there was like all these people like just are like really mad, and it's like the workers that are there just have nothing to do with it. They're just kind of there.
There's nothing in the McDonald's handbook about how to deal with angry sci-fi cult TV show nerds demanding a product that was released freaking near 20 years ago.
But the question is, when does season 4 drop?
I don't know. When does season 4 drop?
That's the next question.
Hopefully soon.
Oh, they haven't released a date for it yet?
No, they haven't.
Oh, that's
it's
unfortunate.
Still in the unknown. Shut up to just like it was a roller coaster from the beginning to the end of season 3, of just suddenly dropping season episode 1 on April Fool's Day. That was a little bit of a surprise, and then not continuing until episode 2 for 3 months after. That was fun.
Yeah, like watching season 3, episode 1, and you're like, oh, this is awesome. I can't wait for the next episode. And they're like, oh, guess what? 3 months away. Yeah, no, that was really fun.
Oh yeah. So I had to ask Rob, what was your favorite part of season 3?
I definitely liked the episode where it wasn't really about Rick and Morty. It was about the Citadel, and like don't mean to go spoilers, but Evil Morty makes a return, and I thought that was like amazing.
I think you can spoil it. I think
Yeah,
other people.
I think it's been out of
I'm the only one that's out of the loop, and I like live on the internet, so most of it's been spoiled for me anyway. So you go
for
ahead.
those of you who haven't seen it, it's season 3, episode 7. It's like Rick Lantis.
Something like that, yeah.
It's a really good episode. It's takes you away from the normal characters and shows you kind of the aftermath of what Rick and Morty leave behind in their adventures and what ends up happening because of that. It's really good.
A lot of their adventures, they go into like different dimensions, like parallel dimensions. So the aftermath of kind of gets a little meta, like the aftermath of 3 seasons of
Oh yeah.
screwing around the universe. Now what's happening?
They showed it before though, where they go back to like a universe where where they've been before and things are all messed up. Like
They completely just destroyed the entire universe there.
Yeah, like the universe from season 1, I think, with the love potion one. They actually returned to it in season 2, and they show like just how messed up everything is. I think that's like a really cool aspect of it, to like have this running storyline just kind of in the background, and then them just reminding you like, hey, this is also a thing. Don't forget about this. I think that's really cool.
It's also kind of crazy to see like your favorite characters, Rick and Morty, to like seem like, oh, they're awesome characters, but then like when they go off and do their own thing and you look back to what they did, it's like real messed up.
It kind of gives the viewers almost a like moral compass of like, do I like these characters? And like I cheer for them, but they're horrible, horrible people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely broken a few barriers over the time, I think.
That's popular in TV nowadays because there's a ton of other TV shows. Like, I'll relate It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia to this, where it's just like you just watch the most horrible, despicable people do the most horrible, despicable things, and you cheer for them because they're the main characters, and that's what you do. So I think that's just becoming more popular and okay in TV nowadays.
Probably, yeah.
I definitely think it's like a good thing because it's more entertaining. It's a little bit different than normal, and it's kind of that shock humor too, because of like, Rick and Morty's full of it. Like they'll start off a joke, and then it turns out the joke doesn't end how you think it is, but then the joke kind of gets flipped on its head and cut in half and thrown at you 10 more times, and it's like, okay, I did not expect that at all. I definitely think. Rob, what was your least favorite episode?
Oof. Maybe no. I'm not sure. Like they're all really great.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say like which one was bad. I'm not sure really.
I don't know. I'd have to go with like the Pickle Rick one, because it's like I don't know. I don't like the. It was more of an action-packed episode.
Yeah, that's the only one I've seen. So
Yeah, and it was like it was a lot different than normal, and I wasn't a big fan of it just because of two things. Like one, it's action-packed. It's like okay, this is pretty good, and two, just like the second that Morty turned over Rick, and it turns out he's a pickle. I was like, I realized at that point, I'm like, okay, great, this is going to be the Tiny Rick of season 3. This is going to be all over the internet for the next 2 years.
The one thing I did really like about that is, like, Rick's doing his own thing, and then, you get to see, like, a bit of, like, a darker side to Morty, because, I think this guy, like, broke his sister's heart, and, like, at the end of the show, he, like, confronts this guy, and, like, does some messed up experiment on him.
Yeah, he like threatens him with like making him colossal size, like 50 stories tall or something, and inside out. It's really weird, but it's like I don't know. I wasn't really a fan of that one because it was like I don't know. It was just different, and I wasn't a big fan of the way with that they went with it. I don't know. I definitely say though that Pickle Rick is one of the most overused characters that I've seen online in a long time.
I can when I watched the episode, because somebody like streamed it and put it up on Facebook, and I watched it the morning after it came out. I don't remember what day of the week that would have been, but I watched it the morning after it came out, and like that night I went home and there was like a Pickle Rick Facebook, a Pickle Rick Twitter, like people were all over it. There were already remixes, like. And it was a funny and a unique episode also because I think with that episode, and maybe they're not all like this, but the other half of the episode following Morty and the family and family therapy, it was kind of dry. So you have, the dry family therapy, which is juxtaposed by this like insane fun action sequence of Pickle Rick. So
I know that a lot of fans are like really mad at the end of the episode because of the after credits video that they showed. It was the after credits video that they showed was actually in the intro, and people thought that hey, this is gonna be a whole episode because it's in the intro, and then it turns out it's just like an after credits scene, and people were really mad about that. I don't know. I just think that episode was a lot different than normal. Like, if you only see that episode, like, that's still good. Like, it's still a good episode, but it's not personal.
Yeah. I don't know. I think one of the better episodes, was the Vindicator one. Basically, the Vindicators and Rick and Morty were, like, a rip-off of any superhero team, really. And so, they go off to, like, go beat some big bad guy, and, Morty like falls in love with them. He thinks they're great, and like Rick kind of gets like offended by this, and so he gets super drunk, and then just before the Vindicators even get there, he takes out the bad guys and like lays a bunch of traps for the Vindicator team. And he's just like, "Wow, man, I was really drunk last night." And he like does not apologize for anything. And I think that was like really funny.
So the whole episode kind of just makes fun of like the whole Avengers craze of like superhero teams.
So speaking of superhero teams, that's a perfect segue.
A perfect, flawless segue
into superhero shows.
Oh yeah, my favorite.
So now, I personally don't have a Netflix account, so I don't really pay attention to a lot of the Marvel superhero shows. But what I have watched multiple times are Amazon Prime's The Tick.
Oh yeah, we had a fun conversation about this in our first planning meeting.
Oh yeah,
Tick.
It's the reboot, the newest one. I think it's just called The Tick 2017. It's different. I'll say that. The jokes are kind of right on par with what I would say is like just out of high school, like age level.
Like college, almost like toilet humor, or like...
No. It's more just like it's not toilet humor, but it's not.
Think of like over the top cheesy superhero.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
But see, like that's what the Tick's supposed to be like. If you look at the old Tick, the 1990s Patrick Warburton, like really funny, dumb Tick, like that's what made it funny is that it was so over the top and ridiculous, and like there were no jokes. Like the fact that it was the Tick and one of his sidekicks was named like Batman was like the joke. Like
Yeah.
the whole show was a joke, and that's what made it amazing.
I don't know. I ended up watching the newest one before the older one, and I thought the newer one was funny personally. Was more funny, and I don't know. I just like how they remade the storyline from the original to how the Tick, this weird kind of guy in a blue suit, meets up with his sidekick. I don't know, I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I think and this is a trend outside of just the Tick, but I think a lot more story is being prioritized nowadays. Of like in the old Tick, like there wasn't a backstory. Like you knew it, and they briefly mentioned it, and I think there might have been a flashback episode, but it wasn't prioritized. It was more or less just like, oh yeah, I ran into Arthur, and oh yeah, I ran into the characters, but they didn't spend all this time on, oh, here's how everyone met and the backstories and their motivations and their characters. It was just like, we're gonna throw these guys into horrible random situations and see what happens.
I don't know, when it comes to the Tick, the first time I watched it, it wasn't that bad. But then the 7th time Brian made me watch it, was not a fan.
What was the difference?
What about the 3rd and 4th time? Did you like
Oh,
that?
I see where this. How many times you can make the poor man watch the Tick?
It was the first night, and we had it on repeat until about 4 a.m.
Jesus
So
Christ.
there's only 7 episodes, and they're all like 30 minutes long. So we just had the entire season on repeat. So it was fun. Rob definitely enjoyed it.
Did not enjoy it.
The look on Rob's face right now.
For the record, did not enjoy any of it.
For the record, he definitely did enjoy it. No, I don't know. I've seen like previews for other superhero shows. Like
There's so many. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. I
but,
can't
like,
keep them straight.
I don't know. The only one that I hear about a lot is a Flash. Mostly
Yeah.
because it pretty much started last year when I got a free poster at Comic-Con for the Flash.
Which Rhode Island Comic Con?
Yeah, Rhode
Okay.
Island Comic-Con, yeah. And I got a free poster for the Flash, and my friend's like, "Oh, that's a really good show." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool," and I never ended up watching it. But I don't know. I just heard about it like from multiple people like talking about it and how it like crosses over sometimes with other ones and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to go into that. Like,
I was gonna say what I was more thinking, and well, we can go into this first because the Flash and Arrow and all these. I will say that DC is definitely winning the TV race,
Oh, yes.
and I think
yeah.
Marvel is trying desperately to catch up with Inhumans and with all these other things they're doing with Inhumans. By the way, I don't know if you've heard. This is the one that they released in IMAX theaters, and it's like an old team of superheroes like from comics, but their superpowers are all really different. And by different, I mean kind of bad. But they released the first 2 episodes in IMAX, and they were like people were giving them like 0%. Like they were that bad. It had some decent actors of note. If we get into when we get into Game of Thrones later, the guy that plays Ramsay, Ewan Rayon, I think his name is, something that I'm never going to pronounce correctly. He plays the main villain, and he's a great villain, as we found out in Game of Thrones. But it's just this. It just went nowhere. Like you didn't get to see the characters use their powers as much as people would have liked. They were really different. It was that one of the things where it's like you couldn't tell if people were mad because it was so different from the comics, or just because it was legitimately bad.
well, now Marvel also has those the quote unquote superhero shows where it's not actually the superheroes and it's like normal people like.
Oh, the Defender
Yeah,
series.
the Defender series. There was another one that I saw a commercial for. I can't think of the name right now. But yeah, like the Defender series. I remember that was probably the first quote unquote superhero TV show that I heard about.
Mhm.
But I don't know. It just didn't seem like that appealing to me to like
Yeah.
watch people clean up after superheroes.
Oh, the one you're talking about is it was on NBC, and
Yeah.
it was that show looked really good because the star power in it was very good. I don't remember the name of it. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
I can't think of
remember
it.
the name of it.
But
Talking
it,
about Shield?
no,
No.
we're talking about. I'm gonna look it up because it's bothering the.
I know what
heck
you're
out
talking
of me.
about. Like,
It was
I've seen
on-
the trailers.
Yeah.
It was on NBC, and the whole premise was it was a group of people who led essentially a like superhero. They made tools for superheroes, and they worked like with superheroes like PR, but they would like do the cleaning up afterwards.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Essentially, they were like the people behind the superheroes.
I don't know, like that I mean,
Powerless.
Powerless.
That's
right.
what it was. I didn't even have to look it up. It came to me. Powerless, and it was canceled after one season.
Yeah.
Really?
They canceled
Yeah.
it like the second it ended.
Because it was like when I was watching the trailer, I was like, oh, this doesn't look that bad, but I don't know if I could sit down for half an hour and watch this.
Right.
Because it was just like one-off. It looked like one-off jokes and like really bad prop humor. And it was like, yeah, I don't really know if I want to watch this. There don't seem to be like any actual like cool superheroes in it or anything like that.
I think they just took I think this is where we're finally seeing this craze kind of. I feel like any craze of any type of TV show, it starts to dive off. Like you just start getting bad ones because there's so many that like not all of them can be good, and that's what we're getting into now with Inhumans, with Powerless. I know there's like at least 2 or 3 more coming out. There's The Gifted, and there's another one that I can't remember the name of. And I feel bad like I should know the names, but there's so many of them, and they're all superhero teams. They're all like kids in their teens or 20s. They all are unpopular in school. They just recycle the Power Rangers plot every time and then make it Marvel or DC superheroes.
I don't know. Some of the new shows do look promising. Like I saw like there's one for the X-Men, and then there's one for like the Runaways, which I think was another good comic books. But I have to agree, like there's just way too many to keep up, and not all of them are good.
Yeah, and it's harder with superhero teams. When they were doing like Arrow they're still doing Arrow and Flash and Gotham, those are easier to keep track of because there's mainly one or like a central group of characters. And I know there's a bunch that they said they were going to do in production. I remember years ago they said they were going to do a Hawkgirl show on CW, which I was excited for because that's actually a great line of comic book plots.
I don't know. I feel like when they bring the comic book characters to like the home screen, it's usually really bad. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like the
there's a small chance it's good, and that's what we hope for.
Yeah, what's that show? It's I can't. Supergirl.
Oh, Supergirl. I've heard good reviews about that.
I don't know. Just from like the trailers alone, it looks really cheesy, but like not cheesy enough to be funny from being cheesy. It just kind of looks bad in my opinion.
It hits that family friendly appeal.
Yeah,
because a lot of the superheroes now they're getting darker. They're getting because DC's taking over, which is not a bad thing at all. But they're getting darker. They're getting more gritty and realistic. So I think Supergirl is providing that niche of like it's happy, it's family friendly, it's. There was a show on years ago called No Ordinary Family, another one that was canceled, in my opinion, way too soon. I thought it was a great show. But it was very much like The Incredibles, the TV show, like the plot of it. I'm pretty sure the dad's superpower was that he was super strong too, so it was literally just like The Incredibles. But it was actually, I thought, a very well-written show. But now we're getting to a point where everyone just wants gritty and dark and realistic instead of this like happy-go-lucky comic book world, so...
Yeah. I don't know, I feel like the TV shows in general are kind of getting more like plot driven or just gritty in general. I don't know. With the whole like Batman scene like being not more prominent, but having more and more shows come out about it. I don't know. I just think like there's only so many ways you can show Batman in a different light.
Right.
Yeah. Like I've seen a lot of trailers for different shows that I can't tell you the names of because I can't think of all of them. Like there's Gotham, obviously.
We could probably sit here with a list. And,
yeah.
We could probably see like a picture with like the name blurred out and all the names and not be able to get them all because there's just too many.
We could have a written list and still not have them.
This is gonna be episode 1, just too many superhero shows. That's the title. Or if we title things, that's what it is because that's absolutely true.
I don't know, for like there is way too many, but and they're all like going to a dark, gritty place with it. Mm-hmm. I think that's like a reason why DC's doing so well because like that's kind of what they're known for,
right?
And maybe that's like why Marvel isn't doing too well because like it's kind of new to them.
Yeah, and I think Marvel, their cinematic universe is kind of coming to a close. I mean, the Avengers Infinity War comes out in 2019, 2018?
I think so, yeah.
I think it's both those. Black Panther's coming out, but like their movies, like they really had it up to like 2021, 2022, which while that's still 4 or 5 years away, they've been doing these for 5-6 years. So we're already kind of over the hump, and projects can get canceled easier than they can get created. So we're definitely, I think, over the hump on this, the Marvel craze, and DC is
You know what show I wouldn't mind seeing somebody make though?
what?
Is a like old timey Aquaman kind of show.
Yeah.
Where it's like the old timey Aquaman. What's the is that his name in the new DC movie? Aquaman. Yeah. Aquaman. Is that his name? Because I know he's in the new Justice League movie.
The only thing I know they address him as Arthur, which is the Aquaman's like alias. It's Arthur. I don't remember the last name, but
Yeah.
Arthur is. I know there's a trailer where they address him as such. Whether the consistency of that holds up, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I would like to see Jason from Jason Momoa, whatever his last name is. It's a Hawaiian last name. It's hard. I can't pronounce it. The guy, another Game of Thrones actor,
Yeah.
Khal Drogo. He looks amazing in Aquaman, or in Justice League, I should say. And I think if he was to get an Aquaman show, he would run with that, especially if it was like old and funny and cartoony.
I do have to say though, I did watch that trailer. I know it's not TV, but I did watch that trailer. I watched it like 2 or 3 times, and I had to ask my friend. I'm like, hey, who is this guy? I can name pretty much everybody else in the trailer, but who is this? And he's like, oh, it's Aquaman. And I'm like, that's not how I envision Aquaman at all.
They definitely like revised Aquaman because if you look like at the old Aquaman, he's kind of like a joke.
Yeah.
Like, no one really took him seriously. No one was really into him. But now like they remade him into something like more appealing, which he definitely is very
Oh
appealing.
my gosh, so much.
Like his new style. He's kind of like darker and grittier, which like everyone else is. But he's not like the fun like, hey, I talk to fishes and that's all I do. Now he's like something more.
Do you think we're gonna get a fish talking scene in Justice League,
Oh, I think like the producer will throw it in as like a joke.
like a callback?
Yeah.
I hope. I actually just came up with that idea. I really hope that there is several Aquaman talking to fish scene.
I want to. I want to see like the reverse of that. It's just like a bunch of fish just circle around Aquaman and just start like talking in English to him. And
Get
he
like
just-
really famous voice actors
Yeah.
too, so you can totally be like, oh, that's the Gilbert Gottfried fish, and so on and so forth.
I can see a scene like that, or I can see a scene where like the whole Justice League comes together and like, oh, so what do? Talk to fishes as like a joke. I can see that happening.
Yeah, I think that's something they would throw in
Sounds like
there.
a Family Guy thing.
yeah, it does.
It does.
It does sound like Family Guy thing. So you were talking about earlier the
How all these Game of Thrones actors
Yeah.
were kind of making their
Is
way
this
into
our
DC
second
movies.
flawless segue?
This is
tonight?
a
Oh my
semi-flawless
goodness.
segue because we
Passed over it, but we're going back.
So I actually haven't watched any
Yeah,
Game of Thrones, but I see all the stuff online. So I'm going to pass this over
Well,
to
before
you.
we get into it, as somebody, so you've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones?
I've
in
never
your
seen
life.
an episode.
What is your impression of Game of Thrones? Like, do you think it's just porn with dragons, or do you think there's more to it?
I don't know. I just see what I see is like the memes. Obviously, you can't really avoid those. But I don't know. What I think it is just kind of this show where they fight dragons. Things happen. I know there's like an egg woman who trains dragons.
This is incredible. Please, we should have been doing this for the past 28 minutes. Showing pictures of Game of Thrones and get his impressions.
Perfect. No, I know. Oh, the dragon mom.
You would
Close
be
enough.
referring to, I don't remember all her titles, but Daenerys Targaryen, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That's in one of the episodes, to explain it to you. She has, like, essentially throughout the show, she becomes, like, she frees all the slaves, so she becomes, like, the breaker of chains.
Yeah.
Then she becomes, like, the Khaleesi of the Grass Sea. So in the 7th season, she gets introduced to someone else, and the woman reading her titles, it's like a minute and a half long of just, like, this. And then on the other end, you have, this is Jon Snow. He's king in the north. So it's that kind of that I think season 7's definitely the funniest season of Game of
Oh, yeah.
Thrones. Oh my gosh, they really wanted some comedy in that season.
I don't know. All I know, really, just from like all the jokes that I've seen, is that Winter's Coming is a dragon mom, and a lot of people die very often.
Yep, that is Game of Thrones in a nutshell.
Pretty much.
Basically, I mean, Dragon Mom got it.
I will say you do see the dragons not nearly as often as you would think, though.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's not like
So it's like 3 episodes to set up a dragon attack or something?
No, it's more focused on like the realistic medieval kind of thing than
Yeah.
like the fantasy
Oh, okay.
part of it.
Because with the dragons, so to give a timeline, through season 1, they don't even hatch till the end of season 1. The last shot of season 1 is the dragons like they've hatched. Season 2, they're stolen for half the season.
Oh, so it's like following the dragon
It's
timeline?
I mean, it's following a million different people's
Oh, okay.
timelines. The show follows. It's kind of like if you've ever seen Lord of the Rings, where it follows the different characters at different points. That's a similar comparison, and fantasy, so 2 for 2. But it follows tons of different characters through different storylines. But when you follow Daenerys, especially in the early seasons, her dragons, because that's what sets her apart, and that's how she's going to take back her throne. That's how she's going to play the Game of Thrones, is with 3 fire-breathing dragons.
That's why. Okay, now I get why it's named that, because people are fighting for the throne.
Yes.
Yeah. Alright.
And the premise of the show, again, for you and anyone who's interested, her family was essentially the rightful rulers, and then they were ousted in a rebellion. And this is kind of like 20 years post-rebellion. So, like, all the people that did the rebellion are now old, and they're trying to fight each other, and there was a lot of great characters in the show, though. I mean, this show, I literally could sit down and make, like, a top 50 characters.
So I noticed how you said there were a lot of characters.
Yeah.
Out of the top 50, how many are still alive?
I can tell you that I made a top 10 at the beginning. I can tell you made a top 10, and I think like maybe 5 are still alive. And at season 7, I think 2 or 3 of them went as well. So
They drop very fast, like and very
we're gonna start
unexpectedly.
spoiling right now, so just get ready for it.
I don't know. Before you start spoiling, I heard you say how it's more like a realistic medieval thing.
Yeah, it's not.
And I have to say, if there isn't an episode of just a guy farming, like the entire episode, I will be severely disappointed.
There is a lot of conversation about like farming and agriculture and the time of year and the seasons because winter is coming. So
Oh, yeah.
that's a big thing. And the seasons in the show, the reason they say that the seasons in the show can go from anywhere from like a couple months to years.
Ooh.
So they always talk about like a winter that like that lasted a generation. So when they say winter is coming, these are also the people that live in the north
Yeah.
that say it. That's their motto. So essentially they're saying like we're preparing, and while we might not be glamorous or flashy or rich, when winter comes, like y'all gonna want our help.
So it's basically like people living in Rhode Island would be like, yeah, it's winter is coming, and then people in Florida would be like, yeah, we're pretty good.
People in Boston would be
chilling.
like, you hate our sports teams now, but when winter comes, like,
Get ready.
get ready. Have fun, but freaking out at half an inch of ice. We're gonna be shoveling 10 feet of snow out of my driveway.
So
Yeah.
has winter actually come yet in the show?
Yes.
Season 7, winter hits.
Winter has come.
So winter has come was the tagline of season 7.
Ooh.
Now we're gonna officially enter spoiler territory. Population, a lot of dead people.
Oh boy.
Alright, Robert. Death in season 7 that you thought was like that made you the saddest, or that made you the happiest. Just like
Maybe the happiest.
favorite death, like favorite death.
Man, I'm
scene.
really glad that character died off.
Littlefinger.
That's
by sure.
Littlefinger. Oh heck yeah, that was great.
I don't know. To explain to like Brian who Littlefinger is, think of like a conniving person. Like they're very backstabby. They're very like.
He is the master of like getting other people to do what he wants behind
Gotcha.
their backs.
Right?
Alright.
He's like not a good person.
All
And
right.
so like, you see him since season 1 manipulating all these people to do great strategy to like kill a lot of people, and then the finale season 7, Arya Stark, which is a main character, like by order of her sister, who Sansa Stark. So like Littlefinger was like manipulating Sansa, and Sansa was like, "Hey, you know what? I've had enough of this. Arya, kill him."
Essentially, he's trying
Alright.
to turn the sisters, who were both the matriarchs of their powerful house. They're the Starks, the Winter is Coming house, and he was trying to turn them against one another. Sansa having all this political power, and Arya essentially being a trained assassin, trying to turn them on one another, and they end up duping him, realizing what he's doing, and turn everyone on him, and hold a trial, essentially, that he's unprepared for, and he gets executed.
Okay, so after about 5 minutes of Game of Thrones talks, I feel like I already need one of those bulletin boards with the red string.
Oh,
you,
yeah.
You need one after the first episode.
Oh boy.
It's one of those shows you have to watch with someone who knows what's going on, and it makes it so much easier because there are a lot of characters, and because when you start watching, you want to pay attention to every little character, and a lot of them are just background in the beginning, especially in the early seasons. But once everyone starts dying off, then the extra numbers get cut down. But I will say for me, it was not Littlefinger. It was the matriarch of my favorite house in Game of Thrones, Olenna Tyrell, the OG grandmother.
Oh yeah.
The ultimate
She was a
gangster of Westeros.
So wait, before we get off topic, why do they call him Littlefinger? Does he have like
He comes from
really small hands?
He comes from an island called the Fingers, or a piece of land called the Fingers, and he
When he was born, he was like very little.
yeah,
or
he's very
something like
small
that.
as a kid.
Oh, all
Because
right.
he isn't a fighter. He's a very frail kind of just like. But he has that. His voice too. Aidan Gillen's voice is like a really good, like soothing, almost
Manipulative voice. Yeah.
Oh,
He
okay.
also
I
changes
was
his
imagining.
accent in the show, which I don't think is on purpose. But you can look up things where they play like what he sounds like in season 2 versus like season 5 in certain places in Westeros, and he sounds completely different.
I'm kind of a little bit disappointed already because I was imagining a guy.
with like really small hands, just like pointing at people like, I want that guy executed, get him out of my kingdom, kind of thing.
I mean, with the exception of the little hands, what you just said is pretty accurate. To
oh,
his
okay,
character.
sweet.
So
Yeah.
you were close. But
Close
no,
enough.
Olenna Tyrell being House Tyrell being, in my opinion, the best house in Game of Thrones, which I know is an unpopular opinion because you only really see 3 of them the entire show. They are definitely. I was mad at her death because it comes out of nowhere. It's not like oh, Olenna's gonna die. It's oh, okay, the armies are where? Oh, that's unfortunate. Like they set it up to where you don't know, but then the second you see the army marching upon Highgarden, you know, like, oh, okay, Olenna's gonna die here. Like, it's not gonna end pretty.
Well, like with the thing with Alana, like her death, like she had the last laugh, and I thought that was really
It was
great.
gangster. It was anytime you get a painless death, and then on top of that get to be like, yeah, by the way, murdered your son. Tell your
Bye-bye.
wife, tell your wife I say hi later.
So I have to say, I know that people get like really attached to some characters.
Are
Yeah.
there any characters that like
I got attached
they
to
got?
Olenna pretty hard. I was really crushed.
But are there any?
Are there any characters that like
just got murdered out of nowhere, and you're like, man, I'm really sad now.
The end of season 6. So remember I said there were 3 people in my favorite house. The other 2 just get murdered all out of nowhere in season 6.
Oh boy.
Because essentially to gain power and to control the Iron Throne, when Cersei blows up the Sept of Baelor, and essentially blows up a church during a trial, and everyone is in the church. Essentially, like, literally, I think there were like 7 main characters that just you lost in like 1 second.
Oh boy.
And one of them had been like the villain for the past 2 seasons, like all these like important family members. Because that's what Game of Thrones does, especially in season finales. They're just like, all right, here's a list, and you're going, you're going, you're going, you're going, you're going.
They make like very complex, intricate characters. You're like, oh, these are cool people, and they're like, all right, they're dead.
Yeah.
I feel like if I sat down, like we could definitely have a game where I just picked a character and tried to guess who would survive,
My friend,
and then just like watch everything.
my best friend who goes to another college did fantasy Game of Thrones. He showed his friends the entire thing. I think he showed them, like he described the characters and listed, essentially they did a draft of the characters.
Oh boy.
And it was like, there was like a scoring system and all of that. And I came up with my own dream team. I was like, alright, let's see, if kills are important, Tormund, Bronn, like, I came up with that. So Robert, do you have no, I know you have a favorite character, because when you told me who your favorite character was, I was beside myself. Because Robert's favorite Game of Thrones character is none other than...
Theon Greyjoy, the main man himself. This man is like, to give you like a brief description, he's like a Viking to the max.
No, Theon is not a Viking to the max.
Greyjoys are Vikings. What are you talking about?
I mean, Greyjoys are kind of Vikings. Theon, not so much. Theon is like the least Viking of the Vikings.
No, when like I don't know, when I really got the Viking feel when like the his like armada intercepted.
That's Euron.
Oh,
Greyjoy.
Euron. That's what I'm thinking about.
Theon is the
Yikes.
one who got castrated in season 3. That's why I was so surprised. No, Euron's the best villain in the show.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
No, my bad.
Euron's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah,
Rob
Euron's
just changed
definitely my
favorite
favorite.
characters.
Wow, no, that's totally acceptable though, because Euron wakes. How do you feel about Theon then?
I don't know. Not a big fan actually.
Okay, that's what I
Because
thought.
like Theon near the end got his act together.
Yeah.
But most of the seasons he's kind of just like a wimp.
Essentially, in season 1, he was kind of like a background good guy, and then in season 2, he committed this. I won't spoil it because you can actually still be kind of surprised by it. Essentially, he did a lot of horrible things in season 2, and then it's been a 5-season redemption arc
Oh boy.
with some ups and downs, and like people are still like, I don't know. For me, if any character has a redemption arc that's that long, like, all right, forgive him already. And the end of season 7, it's finally like, okay, Theon's finally gonna get something going right in his life. But no, I agree. Euron Greyjoy, who comes out of nowhere and then walks in with his Hot Topic like guy liner and all black clothing swag, and just like, all right, I'm gonna kill everyone you want.
He's kind of like a pirate Viking thing. And
He's
like,
the Captain Jack Sparrow of the show.
Yeah, he's like my personal favorite. Because I do like a good villain. But when it comes to Theon, through the show, he's kind of just like, to me, he was kind of like this weak character. Like he didn't really have like when you envision like a Greyjoy, think of like a very strong, very like, this is how we do things. We take what we want.
All right.
And Theon was just not that. So, like,
They make their living like pillaging other people. Like the only thing they can do on their island is build ships to take other people's food and other people's people as slaves, and that's all they do. So Theon, not so much.
Yeah.
Albeit though, Yara, the third Greyjoy we really ever see. I guess Balon too.
I am a fan of her.
Yara is definitely a top 10. Like you don't see it. She doesn't get a lot of screen time compared to others, but she is definitely like she's a quantity over quality. Like you don't see her a lot, but when you do, she just kicks every butt imaginable. So
I feel like there's a lot of names that you have to remember as you watch.
it's easy once you do, especially because there's only so many main houses. So if I was to be like Greyjoy, you'd be like, all right, there's Balon, Theon, Euron, Yara. There's only 4. If I was to be some of them it's harder. Lannister, Stark, the bigger ones. It's
I'm telling you, I gotta get like the red string on the wall, just connecting all these houses to this.
yeah. You
Haven't even watched it yet.
YouTube is a great source to end all confusion.
Oh boy.
So let me ask you this: do you have a favorite like episode or favorite season or?
I don't know about like favorite season, favorite episode. The ending of this season, that was an amazing episode, honestly.
Yeah. The finale lived up to it.
Yeah, it's definitely a big cliffhanger. Like to see what happens next. I'm definitely sitting on the edge of my seat, ready.
I was so mad when Cersei agreed to the terms that Daenerys and Jon laid out.
This sucks. Game of Thrones.
Whoa.
Well, no, I'm saying, well, you don't. Well, I can't. Give me the mic.
Oh, Producer Eric is jumping in.
All right. We've
I'm
just
here-
been told that we suck, so we're
No,
going to
no,
give
no, no,
Eric
I didn't
the
say
mic.
you suck. I said this conversation, Game of Thrones, because I don't watch Game of Thrones either. So I'm on your team right now.
No, you need to watch Game of Thrones.
This just sounds. I'm just so lost.
No, okay. Alright, you know what? Eric, thank you. Stop watching me. I'm gonna explain all of Game of Thrones in 90 seconds, alright? I'm gonna wait till it gets to 43, and from 43 minutes to 44 minutes and 30 seconds.
All
So I
right,
gotta
15
spend 10
seconds.
seconds to think what the hell I'm gonna say.
All right, 10, 9. All
You're
right,
not
pressure's
gonna
on.
understand everything, but I want to give you a synopsis.
All right, ready? 90 seconds in 3, 2, 1,
Here we go.
go.
So essentially, Game of Thrones is the story of all these rich houses on the continent of Westeros and their power struggle. I said one word. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna keep going.
All right, we made it 9 seconds
no,
in.
no, I want to hear it.
It's
Alright,
a
go.
power struggle. I'm gonna take the mic off and look right at Eric when I do
Oh, it's going
this.
free mic.
Whoa.
What's up?
So
This is a power move on show 1 going free mic.
so
Damn.
I'm turning away from my co-host just to look Eric right in the eye. So it's the story of a power struggle between all these enemy and allying houses for control of the throne. So the show takes place about 20 years after a rebellion that changes the political landscape, and through medieval means of violence, torture, kidnapping, politics, money, and so on and so forth, you get to see these different houses. There's laughing from Robert's end.
No, it sounds good. Sounds good.
So
All right, come
essentially
on, you
get
got
to
30,
watch
40 seconds.
all these different families, vie with their different means. So some like they just keep to themselves and they don't want any business. And then when they do meddle in other people's business, they get their crap stomped in. And then other places, they just want to use military strength. Some people are a mix of both. Some people just talk their way out of everything.
20 seconds.
But there's also a lot of funny characters, and it has that medieval realism that really draws you in. Plus, there's dragons and naked people, like, to top it all off. So, I mean, I don't see anything you could
10
hate
seconds.
about Game of Thrones. Unless you're not into dragons or naked people, and then that's your problem. Any questions?
4, 3.
Can I drop the mic?
I'm gonna roast you right now.
Ooh.
Do it.
First of all,
Hit me up.
Oh.
your headphones aren't even plugged in.
I know.
Second of all,
I've been doing this the whole time.
oh okay, I didn't even notice. Second of all, Game of Thrones to me is silly. It's a bunch of nonsense, and it's all hype.
Sit yourself down. Have you seen an episode? I know you're sitting down. Sit yourself down and have a conversation.
Sit
Talk-
yourself
talking
down
that
on the
way.
floor.
I'm stealing your mic.
Wow.
I'm stealing your mic, Brian.
I didn't
Now
plan on.
stealing
I
Rob's
didn't.
mic.
Yeah, I didn't plan on saying anything in the show.
No, this is the most interesting part of the show is when we start getting heckled by Eric.
Yeah. Yeah. God.
So bad.
Come on, let's hear it.
Come on.
So hit me with your complaints again. What do you not like?
I just don't understand the meaning of it. Where like it's dragons and all that. Like, what's the point? Like, how does it? Why is it so entertaining to people?
It's entertaining because it's very complex and there's a lot to like. There's so much going on. So it's not like one of those shows where it's just like, oh, here's 5 characters and they're going to solve a murder mystery every week. And
What's
this
wrong with
week-
that?
There's nothing wrong with it, but this appeals to people that don't
No,
like
it's
that.
a
They want
show
more.
that's here's 5 characters, 4 of them are gonna die. Guess which ones?
Right, exactly. Have you?
So
like,
you guys just went on about characters you like and who you like and don't like. How can you even get attached to a character if they're going to die every week?
because
Or
you don't
one
know
week?
who's gonna die, and that's the thing is that like there's so many characters. The thing is there's so many characters. Like we've been saying, all these characters died. There's still like 30 named characters that are still like main characters.
So how do you even know who's who and what's going on?
You pay attention. It's not that difficult.
I don't-
I'm taking my mic back. Damn it.
I'm taking mine back.
Oh my gosh. I claim that a victory. I don't know.
Sure. I don't know if I want to write a complicated essay on who's gonna die every week.
Do you want to look at my top 50 characters ranking sheet? I have it on me.
Oh, jeez.
Jeez.
All right.
Game of Thrones, yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
I like it. It's amazing, and I'll just end this conversation with the fact that I mean I like complicated TV shows. I love them all.
I'm not saying you shouldn't like it.
Yeah, are you? Mm.
All right, that's a quote. He's over here saying
Eric
you
hates
shouldn't like it.
Travis.
Yeah.
No, but like I like complex shows like Lost. I love Lost.
Not a big fan of
If I
Never seen it.
it's okay to me. Lost is more.
All right, let's get into the Lost lore. Okay, ready?
Ready.
So, who's
Lo-
your favorite character from Lost?
I don't even remember.
He doesn't
Lost.
remember the names. Actually, to be fair, it's been like 7 years since I've seen Lost. So I don't
It's
remember
like
the names.
it gets to the point where like you can't understand it. Like
Yeah,
it makes
you
no
have to give up
sense.
trying to understand it. You essentially just have to be like, all right, they're making like somebody has a magic 8-ball in an office in LA somewhere, and they're just writing it as they go.
That sounds like a fun show.
It's fun. Well, it's
It
fun for
started
the
off
first.
really good.
It's fun for the first 3 seasons when there's actually about like survival and struggle, and then it gets once they start time traveling, it gets really ridiculous.
I thought they just like crashed a plane on an island or something.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
season 1.
And then they're time traveling by season 3.
All right, no. So season 1 they crash on an island. Season 2 there's other people on an island. Season 3 there's actually a decent amount of other people on the island, and they have weapons. Season 4 there's other people coming to the island. Season 5 time traveling back to talk to the people.
So from the
and
sounds
season
of it-
6 is just the Magic 8-Ball season.
So from the sounds of it, it sounds like they crashed a plane on the island, and then they build up and make it a tourist attraction. More people come in, and then they develop time travel. And
Probably
then-
would have been better than the final season of Lost.
Honestly,
Oh boy.
it started off really strong and then just like it went bad real quick.
I liked how they ended it, like the last scene, even though it's kind of argue like what actually happened. I do like the way they ended the show, but like the last episode was great, and there were a couple episodes in the final season that like you got to see the backgrounds of characters that you didn't know anything about.
I don't remember it. I just remember like
Yeah.
watching it with my parents and like it went downhill. And
This
I
is
do not
also
understand
I will say
anything that's
Lost, even though
happening.
the last season was awful, it's still one of like my top 5 TV shows ever.
You know what one of my favorite TV shows was for some reason, and I don't know why now, looking back? Under the Dome.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
read the book. I never watched the show.
I read the book. I read the book.
The book was amazing, and then like
It's like
I watched
1,000 pages.
Yeah, and then I watched the show, and I'm like, wow, this is nothing like the book. I mean, a dome comes down, and that's really about it. And then it's like,
just 4 seasons of like people yelling, and then all of a sudden just hey,
here's this magical portal. Woo, you're back there. You're back home. But wait, the military's after you now.
it's like okay, that's great.
Once I read the book, I knew the show was not going to be good because in the book, the second the dome comes down, like 10 people die. Like you get
Yeah.
in depth. Oh, this beaver was cut in half, and here's what intestines were on the inside and the outside.
Oh my
I
god.
figured ABC probably would not want to carry that.
No, they carried that. The first the intro to like every single episode for 4 seasons. The first clip that they show is like a cow getting cut in half vertically and just like it falling over, but it's like a
Really bad CGI cow, and like the more you watch it, the more like you're like, wow, this is really bad. Why did they put this in here? And then it's something else. I hated the ending. I enjoyed like the first season, and then it became a chore to watch.
It's definitely an interesting concept,
Yeah.
and it's like cool to like see these shows with like interesting concepts. But I feel like a lot of those shows would just like turn out real bad.
They go on for too long.
they don't know when to end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Under the Dome should have ended in like a season or 2, and it'd be like, oh, either like I don't know, like
They run out of food and they all die. It's
Yeah.
bad ending. Oh no! Or it's like, oh, they somehow found a way to turn off the power source without spending 4 seasons on some mystical egg.
And that's true with any kind of TV show that goes on. Like I love Survivor. Survivor's one of my favorite shows ever. They're on the 35th season of Survivor right now. They've been doing 2 seasons a year since the turn of the millennium.
Yikes.
So, and it's like the thing is, again, and I'll only stay on Survivor because it's not science fiction or nerdy whatsoever. But I do recommend it. It's just that the show, it's done that thing where it transforms from like people surviving. It did a Lost where it goes from surviving and politics. Well, it goes from surviving and politics of like, okay, who we're voting off. The whole show has become mind games and gimmicks and like all these secret advantages and
yeah. I have to say like I've only seen like a few episodes of Survivor, but it's like from what I see, it's just like, oh, complete this obstacle course, congrats, and then it goes back to people yelling, and it's like, oh, wow, that's really great.
And it's like it doesn't matter because somebody found the hidden idol that was like they and they totally, there's all these advantages, and I'm cool with like minor things like the hidden idol. If there's only 1 or 2, that's fine, but they start doing it where it's just like impossible to keep track. There was a woman voted off in the last season because she was the only one of 6 people who didn't have an idol or won like the immunity challenge, and she was instantly voted off. And once that happened, I was like, all right, I'm taking a break from Survivor because it's just too gimmicky, and the show's just gotten kind of gimmicky and like, what's the next big twist and the next big change? And I don't want change. I just want to see a bunch of middle-aged people yelling at each other until one of them's left.
You know what show I'm surprised is still on that I saw on like a few weeks ago was Fear Factor.
That's gone through a couple renaissances. In its
Yeah.
life. Isn't it ludicrous that it's Fear
It's-
Factor now? Or?
I think so.
It's
I think it's
definitely
a celebrity.
It was ludicrous for a little bit.
No, it's I don't know. It's really like weird now because now it's just beefy people are like, yeah, I can do anything, and then like they can't eat a bug, and it's like, oh no, that's the end. It's like, wow, that was a really great
Great show. I'm really glad that I watched that.
The one show that I really miss, I don't know if you guys ever saw it, was called The Colony. Right?
Never
So they
mind.
take
No.
people from different backgrounds and they put them into like an abandoned area. Like I believe they took like a part of Detroit that was like abandoned, and they're like, all right, go survive here. And they go through like different scenarios. I think the Detroit one was like there's an infection, and if you catch it, like you're basically dead. And so they take a bunch of people and they don't give them any resources, so like they have to go through like neighborhoods and like take off like destroy houses basically and use whatever supplies they can forage, I guess, to make stuff.
I like the thought of just like sending a bunch of people into a place and then like just watching them like destroy houses and like, look, I got a plank of wood, and then just
Wow, congrats.
I love the thought of me coming into the kitchen after waking up and seeing 3 people that I've eaten in 3 days of the camera crew like raiding my fridge. That's the image I'm getting.
There was what was that show? There was this show. It's really old, where they put like kids living on their own kind of thing in like a house, and they had a bunch of camera people.
It's not Big Brother, is it?
No. It was like a Cartoon Network show or something.
Oh.
It was like really long ago. All I remember is like there was a hurricane at one point, and it had like it was nowhere near the house, and everybody like flipped out, and it was just people crying for 20 minutes, and then like they just showed like, oh look, the hurricane missed them, and then the show ended. I'm like, wow, that was really good.
I mean,
I don't think it got past the first season.
Most shows don't. Oh, speaking of Cartoon Network and the third flawless segue of the evening, back to the superhero things. So how they're ruining...
Travis just said flawless segue and Eric just grunted.
That's the new running joke, Eric. Every time you're in here, the flawless segue
You
meter
guys
will
do
be
really
running.
good segues. I don't lie.
Oh, thank you.
It's because we're off the cuff. We're so good at this improv stuff, as you can tell.
Yeah.
We're masters. No, when I come back, my roommate's usually either watching sports or he's watching Teen Titans. But they'll juggle it between the old good one and the new, like, more kid-centric one.
I haven't watched it in like
It's...
a decade.
They used to play the new one.
Sounds like seven.
The new one, essentially, it's more or less just like almost like a Looney Tunes cartoon with Teen Titans characters. And it's... If you like a kids show, it's probably a decent kids show, but it's just not Teen Titans. Like, the characters just are not the same.
I know you want to know what my favorite Cartoon Network show was?
So I think they canceled too early.
What would it be?
Destroy, Build, Destroy.
With Andrew W.
Yes!
Where they would have
Oh,
Destroy
that's-
Build Destroy was like
That show was incredible. That was a good Cartoon Network
That-
like reality show.
that was like they would get a bunch of kids and put them in the groups and they'd say, here's a car, choose how to destroy it for another group, and then like they just show like them destroying cars, and then they'd be like, okay, now that you have these destroyed cars,
Build a machine.
yeah,
that
build
can,
a
like, do
build a
something.
catapult that can throw this stuffed panda into this hoop over here
Right.
while it's on fire or something
Build
ridiculous.
a machine that can like go across this lake.
Yeah.
And shoot paintballs at the
It's
other.
like,
people.
hey, make a boat, and he's like, okay, and it was like a really cool show to watch.
And they had a team of builders. It was,
Yeah.
it was actually a really cool show because of just the challenges and the different ways they would. I remember just being like, "Why would you destroy it with a wrecking ball? Drop it off the cliff!" Like,
yeah,
come
yeah.
on.
I remember like just like yelling at them like in my head, just like, no, like don't catch it on fire. That's gonna give the other people like really good advantage
they'll
because it's not gonna do
They'll
anything.
still have all the metal.
Yeah. It's like, ooh.
I don't know. I only really watched some of the episodes. I wasn't really into it myself.
Oh,
Oh,
This
wow.
was like the year in my life I had cable TV. and I took advantage
What
of it.
was the other show that it was on? The Dude, What Would Happen?
I remember that one less. than I did,
I
but-
remember that one, which is like really kind of dumb stunts, and it was like, wow.
I kind of vaguely remember it.
I remember like they got in trouble or something because they caught a trailer on fire that they didn't have a permit for, and then the show went off the air for like 4 weeks, and then I don't know, I don't remember why I remember that.
I never
But
heard
it's
about
like-
this. That's a pretty good memory.
Yeah, it was recent. Where was I hearing about that? I don't know, but something else.
So now we're going to turn to Eric for a second because we have a question.
No, we're not. I was
No, we're not.
asking. I thought you had to leave at some point.
Oh, yeah, soon.
Okay.
But
I
I'm
knew-
talking
I knew
about
I
Destroy,
knew-
Build, Destroy right
I know.
now.
I knew Brian was leaving us, and I didn't want to change subjects or anything while he was still here. So back to Destroy, Build, Destroy with Andrew WK, by the way, which is like I see Andrew WK. That's the first thing I think of. It's not like
Right.
Party Hard. It's Destroy, Build, Destroy.
He
was
no, I
didn't
didn't
know
know
who he was until like the past year, and I saw him on like an internet show, like doing an interview or something, and like they brought it up. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that show.
Yeah.
And then it turns out like he's what is he, a metal guitarist now?
He's in a metal. He's a self metal artist. Like it's Andrew WK. Like he has a metal band.
Yeah.
And he's like the party god. All his songs are about partying and getting hammered while partying and having fun while partying. So he was definitely the person to do that show because he's just so like.
I don't know if I'd wanted like if I was like the guy sitting around on the board table and you're like, hey, here's this metal band guy
The Cartoon
who likes
Network
to scream
execs.
about partying a lot. Let's throw him in with a bunch of kids and blow up some stuff.
Sounds like a good
But-
combo.
Yeah, he sounds like a good show to me.
But he's not wildly inappropriate. I mean, his songs
Yeah.
are about partying, but it's not like he's not like super like other metal bands. It's not like
Yeah.
they're getting the guy from like Disturbed to do it.
Oh boy,
So.
it was a good show though. That was one of my favorites. I have to say. What do you think, Rob?
I don't know. Like
Rob,
I
what's
said,
your
I haven't really seen just like I vaguely remember it. I wasn't a big fan of it.
Rob, describe the plot of Destroy, Build, Destroy to me in 90 seconds.
All right, ready?
Ready?
Set, go.
They destroy something like usually a car.
I was absolutely joking. Please
All right,
don't.
come on. You got 85 more
Please,
seconds. Come
We've
on.
spent more
They
time
take the
talking
wreckage
about
and then they go
this.
build something, and then once they build it, they destroy it. Bam.
Okay, but what's the love plot between Andrew WK and like all the cars that he destroys?
We've spent more time talking about Destroy, Build, Destroy than I think we did like all the superhero shows.
Because it's like Destroy Build Destroy is like the only show of like that kind.
That era. And
Yeah.
That yeah.
Because it's like, name me another show that's just really dumb, but it's like really fun to watch because they blow up a bunch of stuff and then build
Mythbusters.
something and then blow it up again.
That's not.
The same thing.
Yeah.
Mythbusters is actual science behind it.
Yeah, I kind of just like. I mean, when I was like 8, I would just kind of like, oh man, look at that car go down the hill really fast. And then, oh, it hit a wall. But.
As we conclude, because we've hit the hour mark, which is like our target time period. And gentlemen, great job on staying relatively on topic. I'm proud
Nice
of us all.
segues, I do have to say.
Our perfect
You try.
segues and me explaining Game of Thrones to Eric, I think, really helped. So what have we learned? There are too many superhero shows.
Destroy Build Destroy is pretty good.
Destroy Build Destroy is the best show.
And Eric doesn't like Game of
and
Thrones.
Eric will never watch Game of Thrones.
And he said that we suck.
I'll give you another.
Give us another one.
Give you another hot take. I watched half of the first Rick and Morty episode and didn't like it.
Oh,
Ooh. The first one's a lot different than the rest. It's really.
I don't
yeah.
care.
Oh, ouch.
It's the same crap to me.
All right.
Same
So
thing-
this
same
is
thing,
The
you know,
final
with,
episode of
wait,
Wildcat Wizards.
wait. Do you know the show Big Mouth, the new
Yeah.
cartoon show?
Yeah.
I watched 2 episodes of that and said this is stupid.
I saw somebody watching it on their phone, and I said, "This just looks really
it's
bad."
the dumbest
Is
thing.
that the one
Yeah.
about puberty?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
with what's his name?
Kroll.
Nick Kroll and
John
Mulaney.
Mulaney.
There you go. Yep.
I like
Oh,
John Mulaney.
I know they're funny. I do want to do like a quick little ad read for you guys because I just got a script for a concert on Monday, so I'm gonna read the script for you guys because you guys are gonna be out on Sunday, so this kind of makes sense to do it.
Hashtag sponsored.
We record on Thursdays.
Yeah, record on Thursday. Show comes out on Sundays. So anyway, there's a concert going on Monday, October 30th, 2017 at Pepsi Forum. It's called the Nightmare Soiree. That's it. There we go. It's hosted by. Damn it! All right, you get the point. Hosted by DJ Famous 401. Doors open at 7. The night is filled with many talented performers, including Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. The night includes a raffle drawing, costume contest, and photo booth. Tickets are $2 for JWU students, $5 for non-JWU. All proceeds will be going to the Tomorrow Fund, which helps children with cancer. Nightmare Soiree, like them on Facebook. There you go.
fancy.
Thank you very
All right.
much, Eric.
Hashtag sponsored.
So, alright. So that's what we've learned in this first episode. Closing thoughts from everyone. I don't know, for me, I honestly, the only thing I'm doing tonight is getting home and watching this Thursday Night Football game. I'll plug the Ravens in the
Wait, who's-
podcast. I don't care. No one here watches football. It's fine.
Whoa, what are you
Do
talking
you watch football?
He has a football.
Oh, you have a Seahawks.
Seahawks?
Alright, we had the Seahawks conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, alright. Robert, thoughts on the NFL?
More of a UFC guy.
Did you say a UFC guy?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
This is not something I hear often. I'm not caught. Oh, I'm not offended. I just never have heard someone be into
Mixed
UFC.
martial arts, UFC. That's
Oh,
what
nice.
am I seeing, I guess.
Well, I'm learning so much about everyone in this office today, even people that aren't on the show. Actually, especially.
on my show right now.
Whoa, hold on there.
True.
All right. So final closing thoughts.
I'm excited for next week's podcast about movies because I have this huge list of bad movies that are really good that I want to talk about,
Yes.
and I love them so much.
I can't wait. I'm excited. I am now excited for next week. I wasn't, but now I'm
The
totally
live
excited.
action Mario Bros. Movie.
Oh boy.
What do you mean bad movies? That's legendary.
All right, Rob.
What
about you?
Final thoughts. Definitely looking forward to seeing what we get to do in the upcoming weeks. I'm excited to see what we're gonna be talking about.
Wow, that's really creative.
Yeah, I know. Right?
All right. This is Wildcat Wizard signing out.
Yeah, give try.
Wait, I have final thoughts.
Wait.
Yeah,
Hold
what
on,
are
wait,
Oh my goodness.
I have final thoughts.
Yeah,
First of
Rob,
all,
me
the show was really
too.
cool. You guys are actually funny, and you guys click, and you record good. But you guys talked about TV shows today.
Yeah,
How do you not talk about Big Bang Theory?
because it's good TV shows.
Yikes.
Big Bang Theory. Let me.
End the show.
And at that
And
moment,
I'm explaining.
at that
look,
moment,
I got 10 seconds.
Eric
of-
canceled the show.
Big Bang.
This is Wildcat Wizard
Big-
signing out
Forever.
forever. See you never.